Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode of Set Listing Bruce, your podcast all about Bruce Springsteen, his music, and mostly his fans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson, and it is a party time in podcast town because one of my Springsteen brothers, one of my fellow podcasters, and truly one of the greatest people I know. We have met in person, we have met online. JB Clark from the amazing Bruce Springsteen Sings the Alphabet podcast is here tonight. JB, thanks for joining me.
Hey, look, I'm not blowing smoke whenever I say I was talking to one of my best friends on the phone today. And I said, I am really excited because I'm going to a very niche podcast tonight with a buddy of mine who is one of the kindest people I know. And I haven't talked to him in a while, just like face to face. And I am honestly just thrilled because we have to schedule, content to hang out.
Yes,
with so many of my friends. He was like, well, I'm so happy for you. I was like,
it's true. I was so happy. And it's funny because this is September, it is the anniversary month. And so you were one of the people I reached out to and go, hey, it just doesn't seem like a celebration without you. So you were kind enough to join me and I appreciate it. And we're just
worked out with September too, because I talked about this maybe 2 months ago and you sent me some dates and I sent you some dates and none of them worked. And I remember emailing you back, can we make something work?
Yes. Now? Yes, exactly.
It didn't really work. Okay, well, I'll follow up with you next month then, I guess. I was like, I want to hang out.
I'm assuming, and this is, they say make an ass out of you and me, but just in case you've never heard an episode of Bruce Springsteen's The Alphabet, or you have not listened to an episode of Set Listing Bruce where JB has joined me before, I guess I should give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. So I'm JB Clark. I am the color commentary guy on a podcast called Bruce Springsteen Sings the Alphabet, or as Rob would call me, the basics facts guy, sarcastically. I'm the guy who flubs the facts. I'm just a big music fan and writer and platform agnostic storyteller is a thing I'm trying to say out loud more, just to promote, just to motivate myself to fulfill that more. But yeah, so yeah, I tell stories. That's all I've ever really done. And that's what I do.
Yeah. So JB and Rob started a little bit after Set Listing Bruce did. And they went through every Bruce Springsteen song in alphabetical order. Then they went through every Springsteen album in chronological order.
Right.
And in between, they've done some special one-offs where they talk about what they're currently media, that they're either books they're reading or TV series they're watching or films they're watching. Currently, they are kind of going through a short retrospective of Jason Isbell.
Yeah.
And that's been really enjoyable for me.
Yeah, pandemic has kind of brought both of us a little low. Not any compared to most of the world, nothing as far as time management goes. Mostly just had time for check-in episodes lately, but those have been fun too. And that's our favorite thing is when we do those, people reach out to us with some of the stuff that they're listening to or reading or watching or thinking about. That's worth the price of admission. That's worth doing the show.
So the other thing, right? I believe you're a Ted Lasso fan, correct?
Oh, die hard, man. I've seen every episode at least twice.
Yes.
I have watched it. I watched it alone. I started to rewatch it alone. And then I roped April in. So I started back over. And then when she was almost done, her mom was in town. So we roped her in and started over. I mean, it's like, for me, Ted Lasso is a COVID case count chart area. I watch as much Ted Lasso as there is COVID in a given week, which is messed up because I watch a lot of Ted Lasso. It's beautiful. It's incredible. Dan Harris at 10% Happier, they're doing a Ted Lasso meditation series, and I'm into that.
Really?
Yeah.
I had not heard about that.
they're just kind of, they're bringing in experts who can talk about some of the stuff that mental health stuff that kind of comes up in Ted Lasso. None of it. That's the only thing I love about Ted Lasso is none of it hits you over the head. Every sort of like mental health message they have is all subtext. A couple weeks ago, there was an episode that a lot of people said meant that there were no consequences in the universe, like it was sort of a Sunshine Pumper episode. But I had the worst week I've had in so long that week.
Yeah.
And like I came home from work and just wept.
Yes.
And like my wife tried to walk me through all our sort of anxiety checkdowns, like catastrophizing. But it was like really like the world is on fire.
Yes.
There's nothing I can do about it. Because for context, someone that my wife has asked to get the vaccine multiple times at work, where she's a healthcare provider for babies, gave her COVID. And so that was an intense. And then like my university was like, hey, you should come back to work. We're bringing students back. We have an exponential curve. It's like a hockey stick. You love hockey. Come back to work.
Well, and
so I came home and just wept. And then I watched that episode and I was like, I needed that tonight. Jesse?
Yeah. And
what did you think about that stadium? Was that your first time?
Oh, it was so beautiful. It was so nice. And so funny story, right? So it's Clayton and Mary, my son Chris, and Linda and I, and so all 5 of us are walking, and they haven't tore down the ballpark at Arlington, right? They haven't torn it down.
No, they're doing a new thing with it now.
Yeah. And so we're walking by and Chris is like, this is depressing, it's still there. Like this is such a
the exact same story.
This is such a beautiful park. Yeah. I can't believe we don't have this. Yeah. Oh, I'm so depressed. And then we walked into the new one, and the cool air hits me, and he goes, "The old stadium."
Oh my gosh! Okay, I say that old stadium every time I tell that exact. I say I get to the security line. And that 70-degree air hits me. And I looked at my father-in-law and I said, that old stadium. Yes, you have to tell Chris that I was about to tell you the exact same story.
This is great. And the new stadium is beautiful and it's set up really well.
I wouldn't call it beautiful, but it's great and ergonomic.
No, I think the old one is much more beautiful, but this one, and the air conditioning is great. It's designed well, where the concourse is big, plenty of concession stands. The seats feel like they made them a little wider. It's comfortable. So yeah, it was good. But yeah, that I will tell Chris, because that's exactly what he said. Like when we went in there and he felt that.
I swear to you, I was going to say the exact same words to you. I have it right in my notes. As soon as you said Ranger Stadium, I wrote, tell him the security line story.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm holding my son's hand.
Yes.
I look away from Shep. I look at Odie.
Yes.
Shep had such a good time. And poor guy, first inning, Joey Gallo and Aroldis hit home runs back to back.
Yeah.
There's 2 outs and then 3 and 4 and then another out. And so it's fireworks. And Shep's just like, wow, fireworks. He's going nuts, right? And then no more fireworks.
Yes.
And he starts asking about it, and I was like, Shep, there aren't going to be any more fireworks until you're my age.
Yes, exactly.
But here's exactly how I tell the story before we start recording, just so you know it's fully true. I told the story 15 times. This is one of my, like, when people are like, hey, I tell this story and people go, have you written that down? And I'm like, yeah, I've got a couple versions because I'm real bad about that. They're like, have you like written an essay or been to a storytelling event recently? And I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, cool. Well, you have to go because I can tell that you've written that down. But I'm like, all right, look, I went to the game. I love the old ballpark. My whole life happened there. Like I was a kid the first time I went there. This is one of my first memories is going there. And I went to a game with my dad and then like saw my wife moments after at a coffee shop. And that's why we are married. It's because I went to a Rangers game. And like I go to Rangers games every time I go see her family. The ballpark in Arlington, I take days off so that I can just go do my job from the ballpark in Arlington. I'll take a vacation day and go right at the ballpark in Arlington. It is my whole life. And so I'm walking past the ballpark in Arlington to go to the new stadium with my son and my father-in-law, and I look up and there's the frescoes above each gate. There's these beautiful baseball frescoes. They're like 1920s Greco-Roman Olympic, etchings in the side of the stadium. It's gorgeous. And I'm talking to my father-in-law. I'm saying, Odie, I can't believe that we have the most beautiful ballpark in America, and we are just giving it up for this fucking Bass Pro Shop. Are you kidding me? And I'm walking and I'm trying to keep my son away from my mouth because he can hear every word I'm saying. He's 4 years old. And they say, sir, can I see your ID? And I feel it's 70 degrees. Whoosh, and I look at my father-in-law and I point to the old ballpark and I say, that old ballpark, Cody. That old ballpark.
So are you excited to go back and to talk about Western Stars and Letter to You, to go back to Little Springsteen?
I can't wait, especially now that I've had more time. Western Stars I put on, I was so excited about. And I listened to and I was like, oh no, this is going to be a high hope situation. But then on my third listen, I mean, it didn't take long. My third listen, I was like, 10 out of 10, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
I love it. Like Tucson Train at first, I was like, this is silly. And on my third listen, I was like, this is big.
Yeah.
This is huge.
Yeah.
And then Letter to You was, I mean, it was just like already downloaded in my brain the first time I listened to it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like when you listen to a Jimmy Eat World record and you're like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, this one's from 10 years ago. And they're like, no, this one just came out. And you're like, how do I put our lyrics?
Well, and been very vocal about getting that album and getting Biden elected. I don't know if it made 2020 it made it better. I don't know if it totally saved the year, but it kept it from being the absolutely worst GD year ever.
Something to hold on to.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. The rumor is, right, that we're going to get a box set. So it would be nice if Bruce is going to have another release, to have that so that when you do your third or fourth season, whatever we officially call this, when you're going through the songs that have not been, to have a little bit more than, okay, we've gone through it now then he's put out new albums. Yeah. So I'm sure you guys as fans making music as long as you can.
For sure. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely, the box set, I feel like that's coming. I mean, it's due up, right? There's some stuff on tracks that I really love, but I don't like go to tracks, if that makes sense. Well, I think I've got some notes about that. I don't know how to express how appreciative I am to a guy who has, everything that I'm so appreciative that he is continuing to release like relevant, passionate, stirring music and art, this deep into his life. So if he hung up tomorrow, I've got enough material to last me the rest of my life. But if I'm just grateful for every new 10 to 15 songs we get.
Yeah, absolutely. And JB, there was somebody posted on Facebook after Letter to You that angered me because the guy posting said, well, I wish he would quit releasing new material. He's tarnishing his legacy. And I went, okay, first.
Letter to You?
Yeah. Okay. Look, jerk. First off, you don't like the album. That's fine. No one, you don't have to like everything Bruce does. Right. But putting out new music, there is not much Bruce Springsteen can do to tarnish his image, especially not putting out new material. Now,
well, and like the thing that separates so many of us from great artists, it's that greatness, right? But a lot for some of us, I say us because I'm battling some imposter syndrome myself, so I'm going to include myself in the producers as opposed to the non, for my own personal mental health. But anyway, it's the fear of releasing bad music. That's something my trainer, who has no business telling me what to do with my music, was talking to me about. He was like, how do you know if you don't put it out? And I'm like, you're so right.
Well, and I remember Kevin Pollak talking about no one tries to make a bad movie. Like he says, you have to understand that, because when a movie comes out, they're like, man, couldn't you tell? And he's like,
I agree with that sentiment in general.
yeah, like, right. Like, no, you don't try to put out a bad song or a bad, now when I think when you're catering to, you're trying to give the people what they want, or you're not, like, if you and Rob quit enjoying your conversations, the podcast will not be good, because
we'll probably quit doing it.
and I have no problem if one of my listeners like, well, I didn't care for this one and I moved on. Good, great for you.
I don't think that anyone should do anything always. No one should consume every episode of someone's thing or every. I was thinking about this earlier today.
Yeah,
it's like when I was born at a time when I could find someone I liked and consume everything they produce. And my kids will grow up to think that is an insane idea. That's cool too, I guess. You can just read Stephen King and nothing else, and you will have been a well-read person, honestly. You'll have read more books than most people have.
There are certain writers like Lawrence Block, one of my favorite mystery writers. I have read almost everything he has written. When a Brad Meltzer book comes out, I read, Brad Meltzer.
But John Grisham, and if anyone's like, should I read every John Grisham book? I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I love John Grisham, and I am a writer from like DeSoto County, Lee County. I know these people personally, like fictional characters. I know exactly who their real names are. So like that's why I'm reading them all. But
well,
and have to. No one has to.
There was a point where the moment a new Stephen King book came out, I bought it and I read it. And then I get behind. And I'm not, you're not reading them as many. And you have to accept the fact that with entertainment, with all the streaming services, with all the different networks and all the different things, there are going to be series of a TV series that you're going to go, nope, I'm sure it's good. I haven't had time to get it, and I just have to accept the fact.
Freeing feeling is, and it's so messed up that it happens in like with pop culture.
Yes,
it's supposed to be the extra stuff, the lanyap,
Yeah,
but like. I love this author Bob Goff. He's sort of an evangelical writer, but he does these. He has this idea of just like, if you have an idea that you want to do it. If you don't do it, don't think about it. Like his book's called Love Does. Just like it's his sort of whole thing is just like be a verb.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally forgot where I was going to go. Oh, no, he quits things on Thursdays, right? And that way he can just quit things.
Yeah.
Because we all, it's like The Walking Dead. Like, it's great, Season 1 through 3, masterpieces. The rest of them, some people really love them. Some people don't. Do you have to watch them all? Absolutely not. Can you? Sure, go for it. Feel stressed about it, though. Do you need to quit something? Just start quitting stuff on Thursdays, whether it's your lease, or whether it's Walking Dead, whether it's a bad relationship, whether it's just quit something, it'll feel great.
That freedom, and I love that breakup Thursdays or whatever you call it,
quit stuff on Thursday. One of my favorite writers of all time, she died suddenly a couple of years ago, Rachel Held Evans. She said something that makes me feel so comfortable. When I'm having a really bad day, I just like to remember that I probably haven't read my favorite book yet.
Oh, I love that.
And when I think about that, it's just like, it really doesn't matter which book I choose to read. At some point, I'm probably going to read a book better than the ones I've read so far, because I have continually read books that were better. You know what I mean? Like, first book I read was not my favorite. There's been books along the way that have made a huge impact, but I'm continually reading a new book that is.
All right. Beep, Jesse. All right. So JB, as we caught up, one of the things you were willing to do for me is to do songs of your life. And so for those of you, reminding everyone what the premise of this was, the sports station I listened to in Dallas, Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket, would do the biggest bands coming to town every week on the radio station, and they would give them an excuse to talk about all the shows coming to town, and they would debate who's the biggest act, and then they would all vote on it. Well, when COVID happened 18 months ago, no one was touring, and so they came up with bands of your life, and there were 11 questions, and the premise was you could name these bands, but you could only use one band one time. And they circled through all the hosts, they had different guests, and they covered through it, and I thought it was a really cool premise. And so Chris and I were talking about it, and he said you should do that for your podcast, but you should twist it and make it more Springsteen-ish. Yeah. And I said, oh, well, what if I did songs? And the premise is there's 11 questions. You can, each question, you name a Springsteen song, but you can only use the song once. And so we've had multiple people join, and a lot of people who have been on the podcast the first time go, hey, I want to do songs of your life. So when JB and I were talking about, we want to catch up, and I'm going to give you a secret, listeners. We are an hour and 11 minutes into recording that. If you're a Patreon member, you're going to hear the unedited version, but if you're not, this will, yeah, there will be, this will be a much shorter episode because JB.
It's the first time we've spoken besides like a random email or DM tweet in like maybe a year. So
yeah, so he and I've talked about everything from Ted Lasso to the ballpark to just our rants against people not taking COVID shots. I mean, we have just had, yeah. So it's been fun. So anyway, back to your thing. So JB, did you have to do a lot of thinking about which songs to use for each question?
It just depended. Some of the questions were very hard, and some of them were like so easy that I spent a long time coming up with the answer. That was my initial answer.
So let's start at the beginning, which is negative, but what is a song you hate? Or to make it a little more palatable, a song you don't get.
All right, so this is where I started to run into trouble.
Okay.
If you had asked me this like 6 years ago, I would have given you like 10 songs.
Right. Just
right off the top. I probably would have started 57 channels.
Right.
Or actually, A Night with the Jersey Devil. I honestly, A Night with the Jersey Devil. I could say that outright.
Right.
A Night with the Jersey Devil. But I've gotten to the point where the ones I really don't like, I don't think about because they're outtakes or like deep cuts. Mm-hmm. And the ones like deep cuts. Because honestly, I added an underappreciated deep cut to my underappreciated question just a minute ago.
All right, good.
But and like the ones I used to hate have almost become camp to me.
Right.
You know, like Springsteen is a performer, and like he came up in like the 60s and the 70s in New York. Like there's a lot of camp. Mm-hmm. He's taken some really wild swings in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And that's why we got Born to Run. Born to Run, we think of as like this guitar rock song, right? It's got so little guitar in it, you know? It's like a synth drum song.
Yes.
It's all Max Weinberg and just synth. And that also, like, he would give the weird swings he took in the 80s and 90s, gave a rebirth to like this modern rock. He skipped 2 decades of wall of sound.
Yes.
But he brought it back in like the 2000s in this completely different way, but in this fully like still to himself wall of sound. Like it's still true to his wall of sound, but it was like the Brendan O'Brien wall of sound, right? Or the Danny Añejo wall of sound. And so, yeah, like, so Rob and I famously hate 57 Channels and Nothing On. We famously hate Night with the Jersey Devil. But like, I think about the 57 Channels bass line every single day of my life.
Yeah.
Like, and it rules in the same way that an 80s, like, every guitar player has a pedal on their pedal board that they never use, except for 3 seconds in one song.
Okay.
Once. And it's just like all right, so there's this preset in my recording software called Chorus-asaurus, as if a chorus pedal was a dinosaur.
Okay.
And it's specifically built for bass guitars. And I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard until sometime last year when a buddy of mine and I were making a like deep, weird, sad song. And then Chorus-asaurus is the most important thing I'd ever seen. You know what I mean?
Okay, got it.
All that said, like, Dollhouse is, I think, is a shitty song.
Yes.
And it's a very deep cut, right? It's like,
right.
Not even, it's deep into tracks. And Secret Garden, I don't know, isn't like fun for me either.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people like Secret Garden, but it's fine. It's just like, I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dollhouse or Secret Garden would be your choice?
I would say
57 Channels?
Sure. No. A Night with the Jersey Devil.
Okay.
But like, you know, those are the songs that are like the songs where he's just really swinging and missing consistent.
Yeah.
Like Dollhouse is a song where he's like, here's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Here is another verse of that metaphor. Here is, you know, it's just like, I'm going to tell you something. This is what I'm going to tell you. I just told you that.
You know, and it goes back to also one of the things that you and Rob did when you're in the middle of, you know, going through all the songs is, and this may not have happened as much as I remember it happening, but Night with the Jersey Devil was kind of a punchline and would say, and if you're the fan who likes Night of the Jersey Devil, you know, send us an email, you know, let us know.
Right, yeah.
And because there is somebody that probably is having the sign Night with the Jersey Devil, you know, I want to hear this.
We really don't have a lot of those emails.
Yes. All right.
People are like, fair point.
Yes. Song you think is overrated?
All right. So I thought about this for a really long time, and I looked at our spreadsheet of songs like Rob rated highly, that I rated lowly on our podcast. But excuse me. So this was just my first thought, and then I finally came back to it and was like I said earlier, so there were some that I thought about for a really long time just to realize that Cadillac Ranch. Like, sure, you know, whatever, it's fine. A lot of people like it, and I don't think there are any less of those people for liking it, but I don't really rate it that high.
Well, you know, I'm the guy that picked Jungle Land as the song that is overrated, and that's because I acknowledge that it is an epic, and that many people, you know, having, you know, meeting into Jungle Land is, you know, a holy grail for people seeing live shows. And it isn't a song that speaks to me. Right. And so, and I
should only appreciate songs that speak to you.
Yeah.
I mean, experience everything, but
exactly.
On the stuff that doesn't speak to you.
Right. And so I always make that joke that I do that so that no other song anyone picks, like, no one could be offended, like, because I've set the bar. Like, I can't believe and it always is funny when on Twitter, you know, someone will, you know, randomly tweet an unpopular opinion, and I'll go, I don't like Jungle Land, and boy, just like now then people know that that's part of it, but at first they're like, what, Jesse, what, are you crazy? Have you not listened to it with headphones in a dark room? And I'm like, I get it. I mean, I get it. Okay.
Well, it's like you like Dream Baby Dream. Rob
Yeah.
hates it.
Yeah.
And that sort of like Rob's hate for that sets the stage for some. Dream Baby Dream is the worst song in the world.
Yes, exactly.
I love Suicide, and
yeah,
the band. I love Suicide the band.
Yes,
and I think Dream Baby Dream is one of maybe my favorite Bruce Springsteen cover that he's ever done.
It is a really, really amazing. We'll flip it. We talked about the overrated song. Now then, what's the underappreciated song?
All right, so we've talked about this before.
Yes.
On this very podcast.
Yes, we have.
I think the Depression by Bruce Springsteen.
Ah.
The Depression by Bruce Springsteen. I just I don't know, man. That song hits me in a way. I just think that like the number of people who are depressed is higher than the number of people who have listened to this song, you know, on Spotify. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This song, compared to the number of people in the world who experience like depression at a level that requires medication, the number of people who have listened to the song on Spotify should be higher than that. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
because of play counts. It's a song that a lot of people think is a bummer, and it is a song that I mean, yeah, it's a bummer for me too, but it is. I just, when I'm getting down, I feel that kick drum like as a warning almost. Like, so my trainer I talked about a little bit earlier, maybe on the Patreon part of this where we just
yes.
He has this sort of checklist that I go through. He sort of helped me figure out the stuff that happens before like sort of self-harm happens.
Right.
And this kick drum is sort of a part of that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so also, but I like was hard on Dollhouse earlier.
Right.
Which is a Trax release. So I should say that like Where the Bands Are, which is a Trax release.
Yes.
Also very underappreciated.
Yes, it is.
That's like the what's the MXPX song from the 90s, like Going to a Punk Rock Show?
Okay.
That's the like
yeah.
This could have been that version.
Yes.
Yeah, MXPX punk rock. Yeah. So there's this song about MXPX that came out in late 90s, early 2000s, 95. Wow, that's a long time ago. Called Punk RAWK Show. Punk Rock Show. And it's the same thing. It's just decades later. It's just like, I'm going to a punk rock show.
Right.
Which is what the bands are. Is I want to be the bands are. Like,
exactly.
I want to rock and roll. Like I want to go to a festival. Yeah. And I just love that. I feel like every generation has like that, you know, rock and roll, disco, punk.
Well, it's right.
You know?
It's the when I was in high school, because I graduated high school in 1977, if I heard I Want to Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day by Kiss on the radio, I was like, yes, it's going to be a great night.
That's exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hate to say it, but the Black Eyed Peas, they wrote one of those. What was it? What was the Black Eyed Peas song that was so big?
Oh, I'm
this is such bad radio.
Basic facts. Sorry. Basic facts. This is totally right. Yeah.
All right, Get It Started.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that was the 2003 or 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
8. I don't know what year that came out, but that was the 2000s version of this song.
Yes. All right. By the way, I've had several guests who they talked about how much they loved your Depression after reading his book. And they said that they had a fresh appreciation of the song after he shared so much of what his internal struggles were. And I think that's a fair assessment. So I think that's a really good choice about being underappreciated.
So one of my favorite memories is in college, a friend of mine who we've been friends for a long time. She had dated a close friend of mine. We were both musicians, and we just kind of went separate ways in college. Like I went to the state's biggest party school. Honestly, at the time, the country's third biggest party school, and she went to the not it's like a bragging point at the time. To me, it was though. And she went to like the state's most prestigiously strict Baptist college. But at some point, we had both had 2 beers and were just willing to open up a little bit.
Okay.
And we both told each other like our shit.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt about that's exactly the way I felt. That's one of my favorite memories, even though it was super sad.
Yeah.
Just because it was like getting to see your best friend for who they are, even though you've sort of suspected all along that was your operating assumption, but that's who they told you.
Yeah.
That's when I read that book, when I read Bruce's book, autobiography, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
About like this song, but also about the book.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, yes, thank you for being one of us who's willing to say something about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like specifically.
Yeah, and I think I think a lot of us face our own versions of depression, and you know, and it is I think that, you know, you often hear about celebrities sharing about what they're doing and their struggles, you know.
Yeah.
Like I know last year when Dak Prescott talked about the Cowboys quarterback about when his brother committed suicide and how he was really struggling mentally, there was a little bit of crap about like, oh, a real man doesn't struggle. And most people went, no, this is exactly the kind of openness we need to see. Here is a professional, you know, football player, a starting quarterback for, you know, an NFL team. And he's admitting that but that makes sense. He's human. His mom died of colon cancer. Now then his brother commits suicide. It is a struggle, and to admit that is a good thing. Yeah. So yeah.
I love Dak. My grandparents moved from right out just next to Halton.
Yeah.
To where my folks live now recently, but I love Dak.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been thinking about that Eddie Lacy ESPN profile a lot lately, where he talked about being fat.
Yeah.
Just as a fat, I like to call us fat athletes.
Yes.
I ran a 10K on my lunch break Monday. I'm 300 pounds anyway.
Yay! Congratulations. Very nice. Yes.
My knees hurt, but you know that's what ice is for.
Yes.
But yeah, that profile where Eddie just talks about the mental toll that it takes just being like he is one of the definitively one of the 32 best running backs in the country, right?
Right.
How many football teams are there? 32?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, like so definitively as a starting running back, he's like
there you go. Yes.
32nd
right.
running back which is like a running back is the fastest, strongest person in available to whatever team, right?
Yeah.
So people are like, you're fat. And the article ended with him saying, with the writer saying, but at the same time, Eddie knows, as much as it hurts, Eddie loves being a fat running back or big running back or whatever it was, because he knows that somewhere there's a left tackle who wants to be a running back.
Yes.
And knows that he would be the best running back on the team, which is like, when I read that however many years ago, I just started crying. Like,
yes.
I was a center on my hockey team, and that was like a fight. Like it took a lot. Like I had to, prove more than just like I'm good at this to be a fat center, but I was.
You
I'm
know,
fucking good at it.
I,
Sorry.
I, I do know, no, I do not know how I'm collecting. This is why, you know, this is not, A to B. It's like A to Z or A to M or something. But um, I was thinking about when I was in college, one of the guys that was an older college student, that went to my church, Gillis First Baptist Church, and he talked about, we should create a fellowship of crude Christians,
Yes.
right? Like like
FBC.
we go, you know, we go to the bar, and we might have a beer or two, and we may tell dirty jokes, and we may, like fart jokes and everything. So, and he says there is this reputation of, the clean, you know, youth minister, and this whole, like, oh, that seem to be not of this world. And you talking about the fat lead, I was thinking about that, because one of the things that I find great comfort in is that you and Rob are examples of, and I will definitely cut this out, but you guys are good Christians, right?
I
Like,
appreciate that.
I mean, because of the far right and the people saying, Jim Baker, like, God can't hear your prayers if you're wearing a mask. Oh, really? I thought we pray silently anyway, asshole.
Not on the street corner or on a
Yeah,
soapbox.
yeah,
Yeah, like our governor saying that because we believe in an afterlife, we're not scared of Ida or Hurricane Ida or of COVID, which, like, no, man, come on, just we have the resources to protect people.
yeah. And so, and I find great comfort when you guys will get off on a tangent and talk about, religious writers you support, or, how there's a lot of bad Christian rock out there, and every once you'll talk about this is a good Christian rock and it's something. And I go there. There are more of,
because so much of my like family and friends are like,
yeah,
shut up, dude.
yeah.
Just shut up.
But I have to believe there's more people who truly are trying to live a Christ-like actions than what the mainstream shows, right? And it gives people, followers of Christ, a bad name, right? Um and and anyway, so just I wanted to share that with you, and like I said, I'll cut this out, but yeah, because it restores my faith, and we're just trying to be kind to each other.
Yeah.
We're embracing the judge not so you not be judged, right? And I really love that about y'all, and it means a lot to me.
What's that Stacey Eureka song? There's gotta be more to life.
Yes.
Chasing after every sentimental high. Like,
Yeah.
that is 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like a Stacey Eureka fan. That's mostly people who I disagree with are.
Yeah.
I think they should listen to Stacey Eureka.
Yes, they should listen to that, right?
Yeah. Or whoever it is. I don't know. That could be somebody totally different.
Yeah, but right. All right. So we go from song that's underappreciated to song that you love, JB.
Growing Up, man.
Oh, yes.
Growing Up is one of the best songs that's ever been written.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just like, it's such an interesting array. Like, it's mostly just like an acoustic guitar chord progression, right?
Yeah.
And it is, I don't know, it's perfect. The verses are very structured.
Yes.
Like in a classic, the whole song is just like verse, chorus, And they're all like, the rhyme schemes are very on point, and it's just, I don't know, like when you're listening to it, you're like, oh, Boston ripped this off. Oh, Kansas ripped this off. Like, oh, everybody ripped this off. And like, listen to the song and then listen to the first two tracks off that Boston record.
Yes.
Or off of the Kansas record that has Dust in the Wind on it. Like, they copy this acoustic guitar sound super hard. And right, copy it, right? This came out before those? Yeah, 73.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you sure? 100%?
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, basic facts. Here we go.
Double check on Kansas real quick.
Okay, sure.
Paranoid, because you know me.
Yes.
Say things that aren't true on accident.
Well, while you're looking up, I'll tell you a story. So for Father's Day, Chris and Linda watched Springsteen on Broadway with me on Netflix. Neither one had seen it. And Chris loved Growing Up. I mean, just right away, he just loved the song. And, Linda's like, I don't understand what the song is. And I said, well, in my mind, and I said, he didn't do any of these things. And I said, in my mind, in his mind, he is a pirate with a cellmate. In other words, these are all his dreams. These are all his thoughts. They are, analogies of what he's going through in life, and all part of growing up. And then Linda said, okay, we'll go back and listen to it. And she goes, okay, now I get it. So, and
it's We Will Rock You. It's that sort of like, phases. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Boston and Kansas, those records came out 76.
Okay.
We Will Rock You came out in 77. So
there you go.
Growing Up. I should have
Growing Up. There you go.
But yes.
Yes, we go.
Pretty much
Good. All right. What's the song you can listen to over and over again?
Land of Hope and Dreams. It can go on a loop in my head for the rest of my life, and I will be happy.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
It has this like organic Americana feel, but it's got like a full band that comes in over a drum machine beat.
Yeah.
And then the drums go on to play the drum machine beat.
Yeah.
Like, organically. And so to me, I call that a moment, like anytime something like this happens, where it's one of my absolute favorite things, sort of literally happens in the wild. I say it's almost like someone said, hey guys, let's make sure there's something on there for JB before we leave the studio.
I love that story.
So anytime somebody does something that just feels perfect for you, describe it, hey, this feels like a real hey guys, make sure that there's something on there for Jesse moment.
I love that. That's great.
Like the doubled guitar, fiddle, mandolin sort of lead melody part. And then it drops out, it gets sad, the beat comes back in, and there's a guitar strum. And then there's like the blessing, the sermon, the prayer.
Yes.
It makes me cry. I cried when I was typing notes about this today.
Yes.
Just typing notes about this. I cried for real tears,
So
this train, Jesse.
Yes, this train. And
this train is revolutionary communal idealism. It's what the country was allegedly founded on.
Well,
it is the same communalism that is like in Matthew and in Revelation. It's bringing heaven to earth. It is this train. It is for sinners. It is for failures. It is for everyone.
My friend Sam says that Land of Hope and Dreams and American Land are what people who don't understand think Born in the USA is about. Those two songs are what they think Born in the USA is about. I was on a podcast earlier, and he said, and he did a, word association, and he said Springsteen, and I said companion, and he said, why companion? And I said, you'll need a good companion on this part of the ride.
This train, Jesse.
Yes.
This train.
Yes. And to go back to what probably isn't on this finished episode, but go listen to the Patreon. This is the Christianity that I think we should strive for, is that this train carries saints and sinners. This train carries the brokenhearted.
Yes.
This is all fall short of the glory of God, right? I mean, I would
argue that this train is universalism, and Jesse, I'd love to invite you onto this train.
Yeah.
I've been telling people that lately, like, hi, I'm a universalist. I would love to invite you aboard.
Yes.
It's wonderful here, and I can also statistically, scripturally, or whatever, back it up. But
yeah, no, I think you're right.
Train, baby.
It is this train. Absolutely. I do think it is. When people ask me my favorite Springsteen song, I always go Land of Hope and Dreams, Better Days. And then the third one changes every day. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
All right. Song that made you fall in love with Bruce.
All right. So
now, I would have thought growing up would have been that.
So no, it's not, because I liked Bruce a lot for a long time.
Okay.
And then he put out Wrecking Ball, and he really did a number to my relationship with him. He made me fall in love with him. And it was side one, track one. Here we go. We Take Care of Our Own. Right? That's side one, track one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Regularly second guess myself. Yeah, We Take Care of Our Own is one of my favorite songs of all time. Period. At all.
Yeah.
Like ever. I'll put it up with Bach, you know?
Yes.
Go. Stravinsky, come on, see if you can write a better song than this.
Yeah.
Like Rites of Spring is great, you know?
Yeah.
We Take Care of Our Own, a little bit better.
Yes.
It is cynical when you need it to be. It is hopeful when you need it to be. It is both. It just depends on where you're at that day. If you are looking to rally your nation, it is true. If you are failed by your nation.
I love that the song talks about how we don't take care of our own, but that the Springsteen community have embraced that we say we take care of our own. And we try, I know that we try to do that. There is that, and it is something we're striving to be there. And, you know,
it's, there's a reason that the best performance of this song ever was at the first, I think it was the first Jazz Fest after Katrina.
Right.
Yeah, there's a reason that that's the best recorded performance of the song.
Yeah.
From Chicago to New Orleans, from the muscle to the bone. Like, it's special to me because that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
In that the Mississippi River, valley.
Yeah.
And it sucks here a lot of times.
Yeah.
And that's why the best people in the whole world are from here.
Yeah.
Because it's hard,
Mm-hmm. Well, and where's the eyes with the will to see? Where's the heart that run over with mercy? Where's the love that has not forsaken me? Where's the work that sets my hands, my soul free?
Yeah. And we ascribe to take care of our own in America. That's our goal.
Yes.
We do a better job than a number of countries do.
Absolutely.
Possibly than most. That time will tell.
Right.
But one thing about America that I do appreciate more and more every day, and about the South, as much as I feel unsafe here from time to time, is that we take care of our own when our government doesn't.
Yes.
That when someone is absolutely at their wits' end, that's when a lot of times we drop. That's when I guess we don't believe in just the day-to-day goodness of humanity as much as we should.
Yeah.
But we believe in the Good Samaritan story.
Yes.
You know, when it comes to it, we should believe in it more. We should do that every day. But
yeah.
We take care of our own. Whether
Yeah.
we believe that cynically, sarcastically, as a challenge, it's all of them, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's none of them in absence of the other. It is saying, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to do this on a national level, on a local level? We're going to take care of our own.
Yeah. Sarah Hickman does a version of "We Are Each Other's Angels," and one of the lyrics is, "We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time." And I do think that fate, the world, whatever you want to call, does send you people when you need them, if you are open to receive them. And whether that's a buddy on a Wednesday night where you spend 2 hours talking for a 20-minute podcast, you needed that connection, and we find that. And so, yeah, great choice. Absolutely. Song that changed your life.
All right, I thought about this for a really long time.
Okay.
At the end, I was just like, I mean, it's Born to Run, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Like, or it's Thunder Road, right?
Right.
It's like, that's the answer, right? Is
yes.
that the correct answer?
Exactly.
Is it? Am I right? I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm taking the cheap way out, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's all right. That's my answer. That's my final answer.
No, that's
Born to
good.
Run and or Thunder Road, but mostly Born to Run. Yes.
Yeah. Land of Hope and Dreams was my answer for that, because
Land of Hope and Dreams would have been mine.
Yeah, right.
That was my last.
Exactly right. And for that very reason, right? Like, for all the reasons you talked about it was the song that all of a sudden, oh my goodness. So yeah, you can't go wrong. Born to Run or Thunder Road. Song that surprised you.
All right, so I think Drive All Night used to get on my nerves.
Okay.
And now it is literally the sweetest. I mean, if April is mad at me and I can't figure out what to do, I'm just like, I would literally drive all night just to get you shoes.
Yes.
I don't know how to say this to you, but like, I will do anything for you. I love, like, just tell me what to do. I will do it. I will drive all night for shoes. Like, it went from being a thing that I just thought was a dumb song to being a thing that I think about. It is sweet to me.
Yes.
It is like saccharine sweet to me. It is.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think that's great.
Linda.
Yeah, exactly. Song that's a guilty pleasure.
I'm on fire. It's
okay. I think that's a great choice.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, even if you said Baby Girl, which is younger than Little Girl, it would be less weird because it is more socially acceptable. But either way, like, I don't know. I'm on Fire is a great, strong structurally.
Yes.
It is a sexy song without words.
Yes.
What is that, like 1-2 step on? What's the chord progression? I don't remember. Anyway. Yeah, the chord progression is just tense. It is super tense. It's great.
And it's a short song.
Yeah, it's super. I love a short song.
Yeah, and
like 2 minutes and we're out. That's all required. Like, everybody's turned on.
Yeah.
It's fine. I won't stick around.
You
guys don't need me. You're all set.
And
but it is just doesn't hold up enough, you know?
Yeah, one of the things that I have said that I will win the bet at least half the time if I go to someone at a bar that's got a guitar and there's the tip jar, and if I go, can you do a Bruce Springsteen, and I throw $5 in there or whatever, half the time it'll be I'm on fire.
Yeah.
you know, because it's a simple song, it's a good song, it's a quick song. In fact, I am shocked when someone does Tougher Than the Rest or something else, but
Well, and also they usually go, "Hey, baby girl, is your daddy home?" They say
exactly
baby, and
right.
and I guess in DF Dub they're
Yeah.
usually kind of country, like
Yes, it is exactly right.
"Hey,
Yeah.
baby girl, is your daddy
Right.
home?" Maybe going. Sorry.
All right, JB, what's a song you wish you had seen live?
Candy's Room.
There you go.
Tyler Baker, one of my best friends of all time.
Yes.
We've played music together for a long time. He saw it in Kansas City like the next night after I didn't see it in Dallas. Like,
Oh no.
in Dallas. I
Yeah.
went to Kansas City. Tyler's not a huge Springsteen fan, but
Yeah.
he is a massive music fan, and he's a pretty big JB fan.
Yeah.
And so he ends up listening to a bunch of Springsteen, and so he was like, $45. Like, I haven't seen him before. There's literally no reason not to be there. And he went and they played Candy's Room, and he was like just taunting me. He was like,
oh, that's a good friend. Oh, I love that.
And I was like, I didn't get Candy's Room. He was like, I know. I know exactly what you didn't see. One of your favorite songs.
Last choice. Great song to see live.
All right, so this is a song that I don't know that it's great for everyone to see live.
Yeah.
And I did not think about it. So I went to the river. I went with my dad and my father-in-law. I hung out with you and Rob beforehand.
Yes.
And so they played Independence Day because it's on the river.
Yes.
I'm there with my dad, who I've definitely had some, touch and go. But
yes.
We're very close now. And, I just hadn't thought that all the way through. So we're standing there, tired, a couple beers in, long set, deep set. And then, and it was special. We held each other. He put his arm around me and I put my arm around him. And it was nice. It was as if we both said, hey, we've said a lot of things to each other. Most of them are probably true. I'm glad we're both still here. It's getting late. Let's go to bed. Let's call it a night. We've made it this far. And then a year later, my dad took me to see his favorite band, Avett Brothers.
Okay.
In Atlanta, and they played Murder in the City.
Okay.
Which is a beautiful song with a lot of great lyrics. If I get murdered in the city, don't go revenging in my name. One person dead from such is plenty. No need to go get locked away. And so that's sort of the premise,
Yeah.
And then the next verse, he's like, so the Avett Brothers are, of course, brothers. Their sister sometimes sings with them. They have other friends in the band who are sort of brothers as well. And I come from a family of a lot of brothers. The next verse is, I wonder which brother is better, which one our parents love the most. I sure did get in lots of trouble. They seem to let the other go. A tear falls from my feather's eyes. I wonder what my dad would say. Hey, I love you, and I'm proud of you both in so many different ways.
Wow.
And then the last part is, so if I get murdered in the city, go read the letter on my desk. Don't bother with all my belongings, but pay attention to the list. Make sure my sister knows I loved her. Make sure mother knows the same. Always remember there was nothing worth sharing like the love that let us share our name. So anyway, that and Independence Day, like back to back.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know how many guys got to like hold their dad in a totally emotionally vulnerable place where like their dad was totally retired.
Yeah.
And they were totally open and honest. Like we've been through a lot, but me and my dad are like so good with, I can text them right now, any combination of words, like,
yeah.
And he would love me at the end of it. Like we're so good, and vice versa. And having been through those two sort of songs live, as that was happening, because we've been through a bunch of shit.
Sure.
Most of it just because I'm like a mentally unstable, totally,
Yeah.
like reckless piece of shit. But we've been through a bunch, and it's Independence Day, and then a year later, Murder in the City. Like that was, there's not two dudes who've gotten to do that like me and my dad have, probably. So that's cool.
That is a great answer. I have talked about that Independence Day was a song I did not care for one way or another. It was just a song. And then when I went to the River tour and seeing Bruce at his late 60s, knowing that he was probably older than his dad was when he wrote the song.
Yeah,
And
he was
that,
the other character at this
yeah,
point.
he is the other character that really spoke to me, that, that when he wrote this, he was the youngster, and now then he is seeing the relationship with his two sons and daughters, really spoke to me. And the idea, now Linda hates it because her and Chris went through a lot during college, and they were too alike. There was too much. And so whenever I bring up that, she thinks I'm saying that they're still that way, and they're not now. Now then there is this thing, but that doesn't take away. There was that time where, as Bruce said, two people who adore and love each other and don't know how to say it to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's an absolutely beautiful song. And, that whole Papa Go to Bed Now, there's nothing else we need to say. I hope I love you. I hope I know you love me. And if we just keep talking, we're going to start this cycle of an argument all over again.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful.
I think about Papa Go to Bed Now, even when I'm like just being an asshole to my kids.
Yes. Right.
Just not even meaning to, just trying to get the whole day going through.
Yeah.
Just all right, it's pick up, and then it's dinner, and then it's whatever, and then it's whatever. And I'm just, my kids just want to play with Legos.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been trying to do my entire life.
Yes.
Just play with Legos.
Yes.
And I'm just over here just like, no. And then it's just like, Papa, go to bed now. It's getting late, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Look at them like they look at you. Or like you looked at your dad and just realize, like, hey, it's chill. Just be a little bit chill.
And I think one of the things too, that as the kids get older, I know that I was quick to apologize to Chris and say, I lost my temper.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm still disappointed in your actions, or I still do not feel this choice you made was wise. And but I shouldn't have lost my temper, or I should have handled that better. I think that was a healthy thing to do. I hope it helped him to learn how to, as he's an adult, to say, hey, I was a jerk. I'm sorry.
Jesse, when I was like 10, maybe even younger than that, maybe 7, my parents sat me and my brothers down and they said, hey, we're not going to yell at y'all anymore. We're done. We're sorry. That was messed up. And I remember that 30 years later.
Wow.
So yeah, you did it.
Yeah.
You were a good dad.
I'm trying to do my best. Yes.
You did it.
Yeah. Well, as you are learning, they don't give you an owner's manual.
No.
You
don't tell you did a good job until 30 years later.
Yes. And, and then you also, one of the frustration things is there's not a meter that says, I used to always say, if I just knew, like if Chris was doing his very best and still making a C in a class or a D in a class, but I could tell he's trying his best, I would leave him alone. But I don't know, are you just being a slacker, or are you truly trying your best and just not getting it right.
Yeah, I know
So
exactly what you mean.
that is so frustrating, right? Because you want to be supportive, but at the same time, you don't want to. Yeah, it's okay to give up. Like let me teach you how to give up.
We worked for a little while on like, do we have a dumb kid or a lazy kid? And then finally we were just like, we have kids.
Exactly.
We
That
have
it
two
perfectly
kids.
said. Yeah, we have two
I mean,
kids.
when I say finally, I mean we understood that that was something to shoot for.
Yes,
I don't mean that
exactly.
we became zen
No,
parents.
but I
I
know
mean
what
that
you're saying.
we understood that we could both look at each other and say, "Hey, we just have kids."
Yeah, we have kids. Absolutely. My friend, I appreciate you so much. I am so glad you guys are doing as well as you can be. Keep fighting the good
You're doing
fight.
well, man. You
I
keep
am.
fighting the good fight. You're fighting
I
a
will.
couple of fights on a couple fronts, and you're doing a
Yes, I
good
am.
job.
Well, thank you. If someone wants to reach you, how can they?
At Letters Clark on Twitter is the best way. If you're not
Okay.
on Twitter, I don't know.
That's the best way to do it. And if you have not listened to Bruce Springsteen's The Alphabet, I recommend strongly go back to the beginning and listen to it. And I know we talked about earlier in this, and hopefully it made the edit, but you can't listen to everything. But I will tell you on with JB and Rob's, even if you go, well, I don't like that song, I'm just going to skip this episode, right? Like I'm just, I don't care about, this song. So, I don't need to hear, anything about, this Mary Queen of Arkansas, right? Like I don't care about that song. I don't need it. Trust me, listen to them because they always come up with something interesting and something insightful about every song. So I recommend it strongly.
Well, I appreciate that, Jesse. We don't recommend any of our episodes strongly, but we are always happy
Yes.
to have listeners reach out and talk to us about the songs we talk about, or just whatever they're listening to, thinking about. That's my favorite stuff. Is like, I'm just thinking about insert topic here, and then like maybe two songs, a movie, and a book or something.
Yeah.
Well, that.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that when you guys go on the next chapter, I can join you guys for a couple of song discussions because that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, just send us a couple songs.
Oh, well.
Email that we like from the couple, and we'll make it mark you down.
So I just want to tell you, and I love you, man. I just appreciate you that you are in my life the way you are, and anyone who says that online friendships aren't real are just full of shit. They just don't know it. And absolutely. Yeah, so thank you.
Anyone who says that, both of us would be like, I have a friend named Bella.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Truly. And I've said this multiple times. Seeing Bruce on Broadway was the highlight, but getting to meet Bella in person right below it. Right, I mean,
still have it.
Yeah.
We were talking about going to New York in in 2019. We were talking about going to New York the next year.
Yeah.
So we definitely have it.
Yeah, it's just so great. All right, listeners, you take care of yourself. Go get vaccinated. Let's get back to normal. Remember to wear your mask. Remember to social distance. Let's all be good to each other. Let's take care of our own because that's the only way we're going to do this.
From Chicago to New Orleans, from the muscle to the bone, from the shotgun shacks to the Superdome, wherever this flag is flown, we take care of our own.
Amen, brother. For now, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. Doing a podcast at times can be a one-way conversation, and I hate that. So please let me know what you like and don't like about the work I'm doing. You can reach the podcast via email at setlistingbruce@gmail.com. The show is on Twitter at setlistingbruce, and my personal Twitter is at Jesse Jackson DFW. We have a website, www.setlistingbruce.com. From there, you can find links to other Springsteen podcasts as well as other music-themed podcasts. We have a page devoted to our own SLB All-Star Band. These are guests who have been on the podcast more than 3 times. There is a link to our store where you can purchase Set Listing Bruce shirts as well as a Mary Question t-shirt. There is a link to our Patreon page where you can sign up to help support the podcast financially. We have different levels and different rewards based on your support. If you don't have any extra cash, and right now who does, you can support the podcast by subscribing via your favorite podcast player and leaving us a review. The more reviews we have, the easier it is for people to find us. And please tell a friend about the podcast, especially if they love Bruce or music, because it will make a difference.
You just heard the fun talking, hard rocking, music loving, album ranking, fan thinking, joy spreading, lyric reading, story sharing podcast that is the one, the only Set Listing Bruce. Set Listing Bruce is part of the Southgate Media podcast group. The theme for Set Listing Bruce was written by David Rosen, used by permission.